Okay, so hey, Lynn. Here's the whole concept that someone shared with me that made me uh, take the time to watch my equity, to watch my money, and they showed me on a in 20 years, which actually this is 20 years. They showed me in 20 years how the S&P can make you money just by hanging on to it. And so back in '98, the S&P we had this nice run going, and then it it took a break, had a little recession. The Nasdaq had its big crash, and it turned the corner. And so the money that you had made, if you didn't put more in it, it grew this much, and then it went back to the same amount in from '98 to 2003. So there's 5 years of no growth, and then it took another from '03 to '08. Then we had that big rollover and the crash of '08, and so from '03 to '09, it actually went below the amount that you started with. If we started here, and then we're same place, and now we're below it. Now we got to wait for it to climb out of the hole. Now this right here, '09, is when Obama took over for Bush, and they dropped the interest rates, and they started printing enormous amounts of money, and called it quantitative easing. They called it TARP here, and said we're going to print a bunch of money to bail out the banks and Fannie Mac and Fannie Mae and all that. And then they started calling it quantitative easing, and they propped up the market for a long time. And right here is when Bush got elected. Trump got elected, and the enthusiasm pushed it on up. But then they started raising interest rates. So they lowered interest rates for this administration, both terms. And then when the Republicans get in charge, interest rates start rising. Economy and unemployment and all that starts getting much, much better. So they start raising interest rates. All right, that's just in general. So now, if we were in here, and here, let me just bring this other item over, the picture that I had of it. Where'd it go? So, what my uncle explained to me is if we were to have, hang on, entered the market, and we made this gain, and we just follow the trend line and say as long as it respects this trend line, then you stay in. And then when it breaks through the trend line and goes down, don't get out, because sometimes it will go right back into this channel. See this channel right here? So if we're lucky enough to stay in, and then when it breaks this trend line, then when it breaks it a while and then it stays below it, then you go to cash. So let's say that our amount of equity growth went from there to there. We didn't get out at the top. Then, so there's some equity growth right there. And then we go to cash and we let it we fall and we wait, and then we create a trend line while it goes. As long as it respects this trend line and doesn't go above it, we need to stay in cash. Now when it starts getting really volatile, up and down, making double bottoms and triple bottoms and all that, and it finally breaks through this trend line, we don't enter immediately, because we want it to stay above the trend line. So it's got to stay above this downward trend line. Once it does that, then we go back in. So we'll go back in, and let's say we went in right here. All right. So we went in right here, and we and if it respected this trend line, it climbed, and it did this for what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, and then it broke that down. It broke that upward trend line, and we didn't get out immediately. We want to make sure that it doesn't go back above it. Well, it didn't. So let's say we got lucky and we had growth from here where we entered to, say, right here where we exited. We didn't get, we didn't get out in the top. No one ever does. We can't do that. So then we had this kind of growth. And so now we're in cash. Cash, we would have saved our butt 2007, 2008. We would have saved our butt. Came down here. We saw that it started creating a trend, but it went way below, way faster than the curve of the trend line. But we don't care. We just said, holy crap, there's some buying opportunities. But we didn't know how far it's going to fall. Now, so here it capitulated, changed corners, went back up, finally it crossed this trend line and it stayed above it. So let's say we got, say we were scared witless, we didn't want to get in until even this far. So we'll say that we not real lucky, we didn't start getting back in until there. So, alright, so from here when we got in, and as time went by, in a couple years here, we see that this is 10, hang on, from 2010, this is 10 years right here. Okay, so this 10 years, it could have really messed with your head, but you only look at it once a month or once every 2 months. You say, okay, well, it's above this trend line. It never went back down below that point. It didn't go down below where we entered. Yeah, it did a little bit right here, but it bounced and it came out. This is a long-term look at how to trade, and so now it's starting to create a trend. And so then you print it out, you draw you a line on the paper, and your line might have done this. It might have went here and here and here and here. Notice how these trends actually, they come down and it will hit that line and respect it. Well, all these other traders and banks, they're working off of lines also. Well, let's just say we got a real long-term view, and you went from here to here and it established a line, and now the market just keeps climbing until it breaks this trend line. Stay in the market. Now this is a lot of volatility going on here at the top. This stuff is just around December. This is just this past Christmas. Well, as soon as it breaks this trend line, all my long-term investments, I'm out. Now I trade this stuff on a short term, but long term, I'm waiting for it to decide whether it respects this trend line. Once it breaks this, I'm out. Well, in the meantime, let's just say that it broke it right here. If that's so, then I got out close to when it rolls over and breaks this trend line, this one. Let's say I get out right here. Well, then now my equity that I built during this period is that much. So the amount of money that I made is, if I put this where I started and then I just add to it, because I'll keep going into cash, then I have nothing but upwards momentum on my money. Cash, and then I pick up this equity, and then cash, and then I pick up this equity. It's the only way I trade, just buying and holding. I'm pretty sure that most of the smart money that I listen to that's taught me how to trade, they all believe that this is going to come visit this area right here. So we're going to be at close to Dow 10,000 in our next recession. Sorry about the 10-minute video, but long term, with long term money, staying in when the trend is up and watching for a change in direction, going to cash when the trend is down, will help you retire, I don't know, couple of decades earlier. But then there's ways to make money when the market's going down. That's a different day. If you're interested, ask me. See you, bye.